Hey guys, so right now I'm going to teach y'all how to solve a problem that's at the end of homework 2 about how each force that's resisting this connection. So there's a weight pulling down of 12 kips on this connection point right here, and then these are the two resisting forces A and B, so we're going to figure out how to calculate those. So first to start, we know that our formulas are sum of the moment equals 0, sum of the forces in the x direction equals 0, and the sum of the forces in the y direction equals 0. So based off that, the first thing we're going to do is solve for the x components. So both the x directions for both of these forces right here. So you can look at these just like triangles that come down to make right angles right here, and same thing right here, so they make little right angles. So to do that, we're going to just start by saying that the ax and bx equals 0 because the sum of the forces in x equals 0. So then you can plug in your trig functions, so you know that for a it's going to be cosine of 15 degrees for your x direction, and then for b it's going to be cosine 50 degrees for your x direction. Once you plug those numbers in, you get 0.966a plus a negative 0.642b, and that's because they're going in the opposite direction of each other. Then next, you're going to solve for the y components. So it says same thing. You know that the sum of the forces in the y are equal to 0, so you have ay plus by minus 12 kips equals 0. Don't forget about this, adding the force of your weight pulling down for this one. And then you're going to do the same thing, just plug in your trig functions, but it's going to be sine this time. So it's a sine 15 degrees plus b sine 50 degrees minus the 12 kips equals 0. So then you plug those numbers in, and you're going to get 0.259a plus 0.766b minus 12 kips is equal to 0. Now that you have these two separate equations, you have the equation from your x direction and the equation from your y direction. So you have you still have two variables. So your next step is going to be that to solve for a or b, you have to cancel one of them out so that you can bring the two equations together and then solve for one of the either a or b. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at b because it's already got a negative sign on one, so if you can make the b's the same, they'll cancel each other out. So we're canceling out b because it already has opposite signs, and if you multiply this first equation by this fraction right here, which we got directly from these numbers, then you'll get the same b values, just one's positive and one is negative, and they'll cancel out. So I know this is a little confusing, so let me try to show you. So if you look at these two b values right here, to get them to be the same number, just the opposite direction, you would multiply by a fraction, multiply this first function by a fraction. So by multiplying it by this fraction, with the bottom number on the top, the number that we're trying to get on the top over the current number, then this value and this value will cancel out, and it will just become negative 0.726. So this is just, it's algebra. It's something y'all should know. I just know that it's confusing, and it's something we can go over more. But this is just to help you get through the homework. So when you do this math, this fraction multiplied by this gets you 1.152a plus negative 0.766b equals 0. And so you see that now we have the same b's, just in opposite directions, which makes the next step really easy. You just combine the equations. So you've got, now you have this new equation from right here, and you've got the equation that we kept from up top, which is this one right here. So when you add them together, then you can see that the b's cancel out, so there's no b's. So you're left with 1.411a minus 12 equals 0. And then you can do the math on that to get that A is equal to 8.5 kips. So you see we had to do all of this to cancel out one of the variables so that we could solve for the other one. And now we're just going to substitute the value for A into either of these two equations right here to find the answer for B. So I'm going to take this top equation and plug in A. So when we plug in the value for A, we get this math right here. And then you just do algebra to figure out that B equals 12.8 kips. So the main things to take away from this problem is that you have to solve for the X and Y variables in both of these resisting forces. And then you need to combine the equations that you get, and you have to cancel out either A or B depending on what your opposite values are going to be. And especially in one like this where it's hanging, it will almost always be your X because one's pulling one way and the other's pulling the opposite way. So thanks.